sip on this. Before you convince yourself that you're behind in life, I want you to hear this message. You're in the right place today. Most of the people I coach are not lost. They're standing at the exact moment where their old identity no longer fits. If you are in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, questioning your direction or who you are now, this episode is for you. And to be honest, you could be at any decade of your life. Second acts don't always have to happen midlife. They can happen in your 20s and 30s as well. Because what feels like falling behind is often the beginning of a second act. So welcome back to Sip on This, the show where we talk second act career shifts, love, life, and all the messy, beautiful transitions that make us human. If this is your first time joining me, then welcome. I'm your host, Deirdre Haggerty, an ICF-certified coach and founder of Coaching with Miss D, which offers life, relationship, and career coaching to align your values and vision of life. I'm so excited you're here today to have a conversation, coffee in hand, as we chat about life, careers, relationships, and all the little things that can shape who we are. I won't lecture you or tell you what to do. It's just the two of us in a coffee shop chatting about topics that make us laugh or drive us nuts or help us understand that we are not behind. We are not behind. You are exactly where you should be. And I know that. I know that can sound unbelievably frustrating and confounding because it's not what you're feeling right now. But you are, and here's why. There is this silly myth of being behind. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about this idea of being behind because I constantly hear it. Invisible timelines. Timelines. Who even set them? I mean, if you're a Marvel fan, there's the multiverse, right? Where there's multiple timelines happening all the time. And maybe that's true. Maybe that actually is true because timelines are a construct of society. And even more now, social media and our own thought patterns. And I literally just had this conversation the other day with a colleague of mine. Because in my 20s, and her too, we had this plan. And I got married very young, and I had this plan. This plan was just perfect, you know? It was very set in stone, or so I thought. And I remember older clients of mine, hair clients at the time, I was a hairstylist, and family members snickering about it. They weren't being patronizing, but they were kind of like, oh, okay, like, you'll see. And they were right. My mother attempted a more supportive outlook, always wishing me the best. But, oh my gosh, they were right. Because I tell you what, life had other ideas. So what did I do? I learned to pivot. And I did it well on the outside, just not on the inside. And then social media arrived. And whoosh, thrown into comparison culture on crack. Now, this is not to say I wasn't experiencing it amongst my peers and friends. I most certainly was. But social media added another layer of pressure on me. The outward pressure I believed I could contain. But the quiet pressure built, as quiet does, silently ticking. So, I tried everything to find my passion while building a family, growing a business, and the many layers that belonged within all of those roles. I belonged to the PTA, taking my children to all different types of sporting events, practices, games, dance competitions, my friendships, relationships at work, relationships with family, relationships with my children's parents, supporting my children as they got older and what they wanted to do, being a wife exercising, which was really something for me I never gave up from day one. But that was like kind of the only thing I was doing for myself. And then it was like, hey, hello, hi, hello, self, hello, hey, Deirdre, I am here and I am not fulfilled. So, want to know a secret? The secret is I work hard on my hair when I'm doing these podcasts, and my director is always sitting over there telling me to fix it. So if you see me doing this, that's one secret. It's because he's telling me, because it's picking up light in the back. It's not that I care about my hair that much. I do need a haircut, but I'm trying to fix it. Okay, so if anybody knows a good hairstylist in New Jersey, even though I am one, I haven't found a good one in New Jersey. All right, moving on. So, but I have another secret for you. Can I tell you something most people don't expect to hear from a coach? And also, one of the reasons I digress sometimes in the middle of my whole podcast that's on a specific topic is to make sure you're listening. Okay, so some of the most accomplished people I work with as clients feel the most behind. And they're often the closest to a breakthrough. So what's actually happening when you feel stuck? And I know you've heard that. I feel like it's one of those overused expressions, but it really is something that's prevalent in what I do, because that's when people come to me when they feel stuck in their relationships, in their career, in their life. If you've ever felt that quiet pressure that I talked about earlier, there's usually something deeper happening underneath it. Your identity is shifting. What about me? It has physical, social, and psychological effects. Now, I'm not diagnosing anything. I am just describing a real human stress response to the experience of nervous system fatigue. It's what happens when you've spent years adapting, performing, pushing forward, and your system quietly says, I need alignment before I can give you more energy. I need alignment before I can give you more energy. And that doesn't mean you're weak. Usually means you've been so strong for such a long time. Some descriptions that have been used in session and that I've used myself for me: loss of motivation, irritability, wanting change but having lack of energy to make an effort to do so. I'm not talking depression. That's for a therapist. I'm talking a psychologist. I'm talking burnout, being stuck, and knowing something is off. You've outgrown roles by choice. Maybe you're divorced. You've outgrown roles because of life, like empty nest syndrome. Children have to grow up and leave the house eventually. Or your career is stagnant, like mine was. This I can totally attest to. I outgrew the industry I dedicated my life to. And it wasn't the industry. I thought it was. I tried to make excuses that it was. I really did. And I wasn't depressed. I had gone through a lot of loss, a lot of family loss, that if you've watched any of my other podcasts, if you want to go back and check out the one on being a hospice companion when I lost my parents, I suggest you do so. But I wasn't depressed. It's just the industry I was in, it no longer served me. I'm going to talk more about what that actually means in a little bit. And it wasn't fear either. It was fatigue of doing the same thing over and over again. You know, Groundhog Day? You've seen the movie, right? Or maybe you haven't. It's constantly waking up, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And, it's so frustrating. And there was no growth. Or not the growth that I could picture myself in the future. Not for me anyway. And maybe that's you too. So if you're listening right now and you're thinking, this sounds like me, please stay with me. Stay with me for the next minute, because this is the part that most people miss. How reinvention actually begins. Here it is. Here's the part that offers relief. Progress looks quieter than you may think. So you may not notice you little things like, I don't know, you're not angered to things that once angered you or frustrated you. And now you recognize it, acknowledge it, and move on. So I'll give you an example of that. I have a 20-year-old son who's a bodybuilder. And after my husband and I eat dinner, the kitchen is usually clean. But my son eats, I can't even tell you how many meals a day. He's bulking. He's creating this incredible physique. I mean, he's wonderful. And so he'll make, after my husband and I are done in the kitchen, we'll say after 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and everything's cleaned up for the next morning, he'll make 2 more meals. And yeah, it's frustrating because, and he cleans up, and I don't want anybody leaving a note, oh, well, your son should clean up after himself. He does. But one of the things I've learned as a parent is we can't always expect people to do the things that the way we want them done. So rather than frustrating him and making him feel bad for trying to clean my kitchen, there are things that in the morning my husband and I wake up to, and we just have to kind of go over. It's not terrible. It's just the way my husband and I like it. And we get up very early, and that's kind of part of our morning. So I used to get up and be frustrated by this very much. And now the other day I woke up and I kept saying the night before, don't forget to turn the dishwasher on. Don't forget, because there was things in the dishwasher that I needed for the morning. And when I woke up and I left the bedroom and I got into the kitchen and I thought, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be frustrated. And this is like, and I said, no, wait. And then I took a step back and I'm like, no, I'm not. And I thought about it and I acknowledged it and I said, no, it's fine. The dishwasher was done and all of these things were done. And I acknowledged my frustration of a past feeling that I always had that was not real at that moment. I assumed the kitchen was a mess. It was not, and I moved on. So that was a very big moment for me. It may seem small to somebody else, but that's I promise you, when you're going to start notice the little things changing. It's not going to be one giant change all at once. You're going to stop asking, what's next? Oh, gosh, I know that so well. What's next? How? I don't know. There are so many different ways, and this is what we work on in coaching. But maybe you do a gratitude practice, and maybe just slow down. That's huge for people, just slowing down. Maybe you write in a journal. Maybe you journal at night. Maybe you journal in the morning of what your intentions are going to be. There are so many little things that you can do. And then we have small, honest decisions that shift identity. And it was kind of like what I talked about before, about realizing that frustration would make me anger, because introspection doesn't mean living in guilt or shame or anger or whatever other feelings you may be struggling with from your past. It means, what can I do differently moving forward? What can you do differently moving forward? So, before I wrap this up, and I'm almost done, I want to leave you with this. I'm not going to give you a 5-step plan today. I work on action plans in coaching sessions, and people stick to them, and I hold them accountable, and they have accountability partners. And part of the coaching session is, after we're done, I email them everything that they're supposed to work on to grow. But what I will give you today is I will share 3 small shifts that I see in session that can change everything. So first, And this may seem a little contradictory, especially if you've heard some of my other, maybe some shorts, other social media, read some of my blog posts, about clarity. It's not. First, we're going to stop chasing clarity and start noticing what it feels like to be honest. So that may be confusing because you want the clarity, but you're not going to get the clarity until you're actually honest with yourself. Like the example I gave before, getting frustrated about the kitchen. And I stopped and I was actually being honest with myself. Why am I getting so angry? Well, because it's something I'm not controlling, And when you're honest with yourself, then clarity comes. Another thing that was extremely important for me is, and this is about living authentically and embracing what serves you. And I said I was going to mention that. People are like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, doing things that you think you should do or that other people tell you that you should do, that you may do, and then you're just like, it's not working, it's not feeling. And I'll give you a quick example. I was part of a networking group. Somebody had suggested I join this group, and it was a little expensive, and it was a little far, and they met early in the mornings. And I have a very strict morning routine, and what it was doing is it was upending my routine for me in the morning. And then I would get to work and I would maybe jump in front of a client, and I would have a lot of angst because now I'm rushing all the things I didn't want to do. That's where it wasn't serving me. That networking group wasn't serving me. And then the head or the organizer, I'll say, of another networking group, which is a free networking group that I belong to, had a conversation with me one day, and she said, Deirdre, she said, before you start joining or paying for these chamber groups, go to a few meetings first and see if it works for you. And she was really honest about it. And I took that advice to heart, because what I did with that group I left was I joined it right away. I attended one meeting, and I really didn't go to a few meetings because you had to. You weren't able to attend unless you were a member. So that is living authentically and embracing what serves you. That's a really good example if you think what I'm speaking is just nonsense. Second, let's shift from big dramatic decisions to small aligned choices. From big dramatic decisions to smaller aligned choices. Okay, I quit my job, right? Again, if you're new here, great. I love it. I'm glad you're here. If you've seen some of the other podcasts, I did quit my job. I had worked part-time jobs, other things that I was doing, but I quit my job and started a business. Now, that I am not telling you to do that if you're feeling any of the things I mentioned. And I don't recommend that unless you have resources and support to assist you in that. Resources financially, support emotionally and socially. It's important to have these things beside you if you're going to toss it all away. Maybe while you're feeling stuck at a job that you are unhappy with and miserable with, maybe you start researching a business that you've always wanted to open. Maybe you create a business plan. Start doing those things first. Maybe if you don't have enough money and you're saved, maybe look for some type of financing or investors, something. Start those things one step at a time. Maybe you want it to be a writer and you want to stay home and that's what you want to do. You want to write all day. That's great. I appreciate that. I am also an author. I am in the middle of a novel. I'm in the middle of editing a novel, actually. I already finished it. Maybe instead of leaving your job, start the outline of the book. Create a chapter. Create your index. Maybe dedicate a certain amount of time per day or per week that you could start doing it. Don't just quit your job. Small, aligned choices. And then finally, stop trying to become someone new. Why? You're you. Be you. Reinvention is usually integration. It's not replacement. I don't want to be somebody else. Lord knows I am still spontaneous, honest, sometimes, a lot of times, abruptly honest. And if you've ever seen my bloopers, I am raw. It's just me. And I love me. And maybe I'm not somebody else's cup of tea, but I sure am mine. Maybe now I'm just a little more refined. Or not. But what I am is I am so much more positive. I am so happy. Happy is a state of mind. It's not what the environment is giving me. It is me that makes myself happy. I find joy in the things that I do. And I am truly, abundantly grateful for everything I have and for the journey that got me here, even the things that broke me down and made me cry. So if this sounds like your life right now, if anything I've said, if it's resonated with you, I promise you are not too late. You are at a threshold. Let this feel intimate. If this conversation felt like it was speaking directly to you, it was. It probably was. And if you're navigating a transition, career, identity, or just a quiet inner shift, you're not alone in that space. This is exactly the work I do every day as a coach, helping people step into what's next without losing who they've been. Who you were got you here. You don't want that person to go away. You just want to be aligned. So thank you for sitting with me today, and I will see you on the next episode of Sip on This. Please don't forget to give a like or subscribe to Sip on This on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, and Apple Podcasts. And please join me at coachingwithmissd.com for tools, coaching pricing, and resources where you can learn more about a free discovery session. Until next time, keep sipping, keep growing, and remember, you're not behind, you are reinventing. So live your life as your authentic self. Your version, no one else's.